One of the topic that's very interesting in your journey is your return back to India.
If I would have stayed back in US, I could have saved extra million or $2 million. That's it.
What triggered your thought to say like I want to go back to India?
One major factor is family, right? We have a family back home. I felt India has much higher potential than US to start a business.
Most people that I know of when they're coming to US have that thought here. At one point I want to come back to India. I want to bring back that.
We stay in India. People think people in US are super happy. They spend their vacation, the weekend, they go on a hiking. Because it's all over social media. They take some couple of pictures on Mount Rainier or whatever, Lake Tahoe. So this is the biggest misconception, and that's why I said grass is greener. Like when you come here, we are not satisfied.
Any advice that you have for families who have kids who are kind of stuck?
We have born and brought up in India. We know what to expect from India, right? But think about kids who are not born here or not brought up here. You are bringing in a kid after like 7-8 years, and then they suddenly see a drastic change. It's not easy for them to adjust as well.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our podcast Everything Product. In this podcast, we talk about different product management concepts, latest technology insights, and we also host wide variety of industry leaders shaping up the technology space. Today, I'm very excited to host Nithin Hassan. He has a fascinating journey from leading massive tech projects in top big companies like Meta and Microsoft, and now he has started his own company and he has also been continually mentoring several startups. He's currently the founder of My Garden Emporium and Career Kickstart Club, along with being a fractional CTO at Business Kickstart Club. Nithin has his hands in multiple ventures, all while empowering several new entrepreneurs. Today, we are planning to have a chat with him. His return journey to India. He has also written multiple books empowering other people to think in a similar direction. So we're planning to talk about all of those things with Nithin today. So stay tuned. Nithin, thank you so much for taking time and joining the Everything Product team.
Hey, thanks, Fanny and Sam Srinath for having me in your podcast.
Yep, absolutely. What triggered your thought to say like I want to go back to India?
I'll tell you a funny story. So I was on the same boat, right? So I was in US. One major factor is family, right? We have a family back home, and also friend circle. Probably friends may not be so much because friends are their own life right now. Even if you come back to India, I never got a chance to meet my friends. It's been a year now. Everybody is busy in their own life. Probably biggest factor is family, and people think India is more comfortable with the current help here. That's the second thing they think of. And the third is people want to start, they say, because you see in the media, right, either social media or any news article, India is going to be like a $1 trillion economy, $4 trillion economy. If you come and write this, you'll be super rich. All those news is probably it's right, but to what extent? So these are all the questions. So for me, the biggest factor is simple. My one bit was flip, but it became complex as life happened because I got married, kids. Once you reach a particular stage in a corporate, it becomes super duper hard. And you should be having that willingness to take the risk and take that. Otherwise, because if you start thinking pros and cons, things doesn't happen. For me, it's simple, right? See, for me, I always wanted to come back. What's the worst case scenario if you come back to India, right? Worst case scenario, for me, it's just from the startup world. Startup doesn't work. I'll fail in my startup. For me, it's still fine because it's not such a startup, but it's an experience which I gain from it, right? I'll try for 5 years. If it doesn't work, for me, like either US or any other country, doors are still open, right? I can go back. It's just an experience. So that's the mindset. So, and as I said, I didn't want it to regret at my 60s or 70s. Hey, I always, because that's what a lot of people say when I talk to old people in India, like in US, who are still staying. I always wanted to go back to India, but we couldn't because of family situation. And that's the regret. I didn't want it to. Even if I fail, that's fine. I wanted to experience. I want to tell my kids or grandkids a story. I went to India. I failed terribly. I came back. Even if I failed terribly, that's okay with me. And what's the best case scenario in US if you stay back, right? This is a worst case scenario I'm taking. I come to India, I fail. That's fine, but it's an experience which I'm getting, and it's a one single life. You're right, and honestly, life is very short, right? It's just we have like if from the corporate perspective, I think we most of them retired by 50 or 60. I don't think we can go beyond 60 years or 50 years, honestly. The best case scenario, if I stay, would I stayed back in US? Probably at this mid-stage career, I could have at least next 5 to 10 years, I could have got 3 or 4 promotions, not more than that. I could have saved extra million or $2 million. That's it. But in a grand scheme of thing, that doesn't make a dent, right? Right. That's the best case scenario. Scenario what I'm taking if I stay back. But think about the best case scenario if I come back to India, if I do a startup, if that works, that's 1 in a million. Still, that will have a biggest impact in my life. Right? So I think these are the things because there's no one right or wrong answer. And the final thing is it's not an individual decision. If you have a family, you have to talk to your family, convince a family, bring them on board. So there are other challenges as well, right? And a lot of people, they probably one partner is interested to come back, the other partner may not be interested. So solving all those things is that's what I have put in my book Return Journey. What I've done is I have written 10 chapters. In the 10 chapter, if after every chapter, I give a Q&A, like 10 question answer. And then I add up the question numbers. If you're greater than some number, you intend to come back. Less than that number, you do it better you stay back in US because you will regret coming back. So that's kind of a baseline to understand because I've given the perspective from the family basis, from the financial circumstances, from the social circumstances. One other biggest myth I want to burst, people from in US, right? We all come back to vacation and our vacation spans not more than 3 to 4 weeks, right? And that too, especially during Thanksgiving or Christmas, we come back and we think that's the real Indian life because first we are all in jet lagged, right? We try to come out of jet lag. Second week, we try to go out with the family, a super duper like vacation. Third week, we are packing our bags. The only week we are trying to carry our memory is it's like 1 week, and we think, oh, everybody will be super nice to you, like parent, nephew, friends. They, they bring in everything. You don't need to lift your finger. They come to you. They pack your bags and send it. Say tata, bye bye. Then you carry that memory back to US, and then you go back to washing your dishes. It's like, wow, in India, it's so nice if they had.
I can totally remember that.
Right?
All
Then, right? Then you start thinking, oh, if I go back to India, I can live that happily ever after life, right? So let me pack my bag and come back to India. And you come back to India, first week fine, second week fine, third week people like even your parents, nephews, like you came here, go wash your dishes, right? So it's even more harder, honestly speaking, right? At least in US, people are not judging, right? India, a lot of people judge what you do, and you lose your freedom, you lose your independence, all those things. With the it has both pros and cons. So decisions should be taken in a wise way, right? Now, if you're still living with your parents or your in-laws or nephews or whatever it is, you need to have a right understanding. Just not don't come with the conclusion that what media says or what you visit India for a week's time. Don't base your decision just based on that, right? So have a wider picture, talk to people. So that's where again the mentorship comes in, like people who are returned to India, right? Talk to them. What's the why? And also a lot of people, what the in the retention, what people do is they don't sustain for a year. They actually come back to US or other countries.
Yep.
And honestly speaking, I don't think 1 year is a right time because 1 year is very, very short. And also they come in the negative aspect, right? Oh, if India doesn't work out, they already have their house and cars in a rental, and they say, I'll try out India for a year. If things doesn't work out, I'll go back to US. They already have their one leg in US, and they come to India, right? They see every day, they see a challenges in India. Oh, India is not for me. I was so comfortable in US. Let me go back. They already failed before coming here. So 1 year is not the right time, right? You should accept the fact that India is problematic, and you are going to live with that for more than a year. And that's why we said we are going to pack our bag, everything, and we don't have a deadline, right? We did not set a deadline. It's actually, what is today's date? Actually, today is my resignation day. 1 year I resigned.
Oh,
US,
wow.
right? So, honest speaking, see, for me, there's no regret coming back. But the question is, have you achieved what you wanted to? No, I did not. Because every day is a challenge still for me. And when I wake up, sometimes I get a feeling. Uh, I was so comfortable in US, and I used to get up, go to my gym, work out, go to office. I had a gym in the office, talk to people, come back, sleep. That's it. And everything is automated. But it's still, life is so uncomfortable. When I say uncomfortable, a lot of challenges in India. And now I hit 1 year mark. If somebody would have thought if I had one leg in US, I think at this time I would have packed my bag and I would have come to US, right? uh, and that hope, I think it's one. See, and we went to US. The question is that we didn't try. Okay, let's go to US. Let's try 1 year, 1 semester. The thing doesn't work out, we'll come back. We did not go that way. What we
That's
thought
true.
is we'll complete our masters, get work for a few years to get an experience. If it's bad or worse, because we invested our money, and see what happens. That's the mindset we went with, right? And India is no way, again, is still an alien country, because we've been in US comfortable. Again, India becomes an alien country because things changed. So it's not easy.
So there
Yeah,
was one thing on a funny note. There was one time that we used to use ABCD, American born confused AC. I feel like now we are more confused than American borns to go sit here or there.
I can totally relate to that, right? I mean, your example was like on point, especially for
Yeah.
vacations. When we go there, we have the best life possible, and when we come back, we'll be like, "Dude, I missed that life there," especially during like holiday seasons. And another thing that also resonated really well with me, Nithin, is especially when we come to US, we don't come with the thought like go back in a year. Like we actually come to say, hey, I'm gonna finish my masters, I'm gonna work for some time, gain experience. And most people that I know of when they're coming to US have that thought, hey, at one point I want to come back to India. I want to bring back that. But life happens, like you said. So if we go back, we should have the exact same thought process. Hey,
Yep.
I'm going back to do something. So I'm going to spend some time, do that, see all the possible circumstances, and then face them. Yeah, I love that analogy. Yep.
And I think just
Awesome.
putting the deadlines, right? Like even when we come to US, I know we just say 2 years, but even like 5, 6 years, we want to become more financially settled. We take more time. We try to experiment more, we say. But if we don't give that same thing in India, just like within 1 year, then then it's like you're already kind of on the wall, right? Like two legs.
Correct.
Yep.
That doesn't, that will never work out, right? Because
Yep.
India, you're not trying here, right? You're trying to adjust. That's first thing you need to learn here, right? Because it's not easy. Yeah, going to USC, they're harder 100 times, because when you went to US, you went as a single. You had all the freedom. Your decision was solo, right? Now, when you're coming back, you're not, either if you're married or kids, your decision is not single. It makes even more complicated, because
Yeah.
everybody's opinion is different, and you have kids, and kids after like some age, they will have their own opinion. That's why it almost becomes impossible to come back at certain point of time. It's just a one-way journey. It becomes one-way journey. But yeah, but you should have a right reasoning also. If you're coming back, what exactly you're coming back? One could be family, right? But if you're only thinking, okay, family is the only reason you're coming back, probably you will not be happy. That's what I feel. Because, yeah, because family is living without you for some years. They are comfortable, and because this is what a lot of people, and then we start invading their space, and then they may not be comfortable as well, right? Because when you come on a vacation, that's what they also see. Oh, this person is so nice. He came because we bring chocolates or whatever a gift for 1 week. After 1 week, people they don't see that, right? So it goes on the other side as well. So yeah, it's a very complicated decision to come back. So there's no right or wrong answer.
Another question which I had was, especially since you talked about the families, what has been like from your journey that you want to share? I'm sure this is a complicated question for like a lot of folks, like like parents with kids. And after a certain point, like once they grow like over 7 years, then it's impossible to leave. Like, any advice that you have for people like families who have kids who are kind of stuck?
See, families with kids, see, we should also not think of from our perspective. We should also think about kids' perspective, right? The reason why they say it's harder for 7 years, because at least we have born and brought up in India. We understand, we know what to expect from India, right? We know how chaotic India is. But think about kids who are not born here or not brought up here, and they have their whole imagination in US, like that's how
Yep.
the word is, right? You are bringing in a kid after like 7 8 years, and then they suddenly see a drastic change
Yep.
in the culture. It's not easy for them to adjust as well. One simple example I could give is like kids from they don't know the local language. Even they understand the local language, it becomes very hard for them to converse in the local language here. Even if their grandparent doesn't know English, or in school's fine because we have an international school here, everybody speak. But if you go to any functions or any social gathering, and they feel they are kind of an outcast here, right? And that start playing on their mind slowly, and then that will form a negative factor when they're growing up. And
Yep.
because that's the time they have to have fun with their friends, enjoy their life. But if they bring in too early, then I think that's the right time. Before 5 years, they start to learn the language, start to going to school, so that they can gel in. And one good factor feel about India, that's what I think most of people say. If you learn to know how to drive in India, if you know how to live in India, you can live anywhere on the globe, right? Because India teaches that, especially because we have come to a lot of challenges, right? I think for the kids, I think that's also a plus point. At least if they have few years of the experience here, they know what's the hardship here, and they appreciate when they see the success. They appreciate the success. But in India, everything, US, everything is in autopilot mode.
Yep.
Sometimes they fail to appreciate the success. They think this is what it is, right?
Exactly.
Because they're like there's at least US there is a poverty, but I don't think in our community we see poverty around them. Like
Yep.
they get everything they want. And India, you see everything. Like once you step out of the road, you see a lot of things which kindle their mind. Hey, this is how things are. We should be nicer, right? So in other way also probably in their development, probably it may help. That's my perspective.
No, definitely resonate with a lot of things that you just mentioned.
Correct.
This is great, Nithin. Actually, love the overall conversation. Usually, we end our podcast with just a couple of questions. One is like, are there any book recommendations that you give?
Honestly, I have written 3 books. If you ask me, are you a good reader? Other than the syllabus book, I never used to read any books. That's weird irony. But way I inculcated the habits is because when you're in a corporate, you write a lot of documentation, right? So that's how I started writing. And during whatever early stage, my marriage or before marriage, I used to write some letters. So that's when I built a confident writing. But if I want to, from the entrepreneur perspective, I think I've read 2 books. One is Ikigai, Ikigai is a nice book because it gives a perspective of your life, like how to be happy. And the second is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's a good book when you're, because they're different content. I haven't read the second version. The first version I read it. I started reading the second version. Yeah. So that's a good book as well because that gives a mindset of how to start a business, especially if you want to be rich, where to focus on, all those things. So I think these are the two books, especially I read, but there could be other books as well. Yeah.
No, yeah, thanks for sharing that. I see Ikigai behind you, I think. The
Correct.
blue one is Ikigai, I think, right? Yeah.
Correct.
No, I still keep joking with my wife on and off. I still haven't figured out my Ikigai in life. No. Yeah, this is great, Nathan.
So, yeah,
Go ahead.
thank you. Thank you, Funny.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking time. We love the conversation. Yeah. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much again. Great meeting you.